Good morning, Stonkmerica. Happy GM earnings day today to everybody. GameStop is going to be announcing its earnings. That's something that we'll be talking about. My name's Rocky Outcrop. Welcome back to the show. As ever, it's very fantastic to see you all out there in the chat. Hope you're doing well. JAA, T1000, Cookie Monster, Lepton, Inc, Rob Davis, Kim, Super Kashi, I am not a cat, meow meow meow, good to see you, and everybody else out there. Looking forward to another fantastic show with y'all as we take a look at the technical analysis of our favorite stocks and cryptocurrencies, perhaps commodities and forex and anything else that people want to take a look at on today's show as we get into the mindset, the correct mindset to be in for another successful day in the markets. Clear your breath, Rocky. Clear your throat, eh? Thank you so much to Generation Ape. Knock it out the park, Giza. Oh yeah, yeah, will. Thanks so much for that. Massively appreciated. You knock it out the park as well. Everybody knock it out the park. Kind of that's mostly what this show's about. Getting up in the morning and then knocking it out the park all day long. Thank you so much for joining me at 8:33 a.m. on your eastern coast of the United States of America. It is 1:30 over here in the UK. Actually, I'm being cheeky. It's 1:33. But yeah, you know, good morning, afternoon, listening and watching, says Harriet. Harriet, I need to get back to you about all that stuff that we've been doing recently. Actually, Harriet, we should have a chat face to face or ear to mouth to ear, whatever. and do it that way. It's probably much easier, right? Yay, listening and working, FFS, she says. Dober Mamba, Christy, gosh damn it, I wish I didn't read that name wrong every time. Christy, Frostcrest, Sasha, good to see you. Hey, great timing with my shower. Oh, Sasha, that's so awesome. Thanks so much for having me in the shower with you as ever. I love being in the shower with the outcropticians. Do-do-do-do-do. And pre-markets, post-markets, whatever, current price of GME, pretty much bang on $200 as it closed yesterday at 199. The earnings of that company coming out today. Now, we look at lots of stuff on the show because, of course, we're interested in self-determination, self-emancipation from the shackles of the modern financial world as we look to educate and, of course, emancipate ourselves. And that is what we do on the show. So we look at all sorts of things, but we also pay special attention to our friend GameStop, who is perhaps going to be the stock to end all stocks. What's that rhyme from Lord of the Rings? It's like that, isn't it? There'll be one stock to short them, one stock to long them, one stock to bind them all, or whatever. That's GME over here trying to bind up Citadel in its own web of lies and deceit. Yes, big stuff recently in the world today as well. If you've been watching, there was a video. It's not big stuff, but it'll be big stuff probably. I don't know, maybe not. Some whistleblower who's got 13 years working in experience with Goldman. They paid for him to get an MBA. They'll be feeling a bit stung by him wanting to whistleblow. A guy called Rob, something like that, has been whistleblowing about how ETNs are like designed to take your money. Wow, shock horror. Well, the markets have always been designed to take your money, and that's partly what we do here is we prepare ourselves to not be one of that crowd of sheep that lose their money. VFF and or OGI, if you have a time. No worries if not. You're the man, Rocky. Lepton, my friend, that's so nice of you. And I suppose that is a good time for us to jump on over to the green screeny charts arena of death. So here we have it, right? This is El Chartiolio's. Is this lined up properly in my background? That's good enough, isn't it? Right, so this is the charts here, and this chart up behind me in particular is that GameStop chart, of course. So let's just jump over in a minute or two, Lepton, and take a look at those stocky walkies that you said there. I'll have to check the tickers again. Other things coming up in today's show for y'all. You'll be wondering. At the top of the hour, we'll discuss some news. What news have you got, Rocky? Well, actually, there's quite a lot of news quite a lot of news. There's always quite a lot of news. We've got GameStop news, we've got Bitcoin news, we've got Britney Spears news, we've got news. So we'll be doing that at that time. And today, today is a special day. A special day. It's a very special day. I know what you're thinking. Rocky, stop going on about GME earnings. Wait, it's not that special a day. No, that's not what I'm talking about. You're wrong. That's not what I'm talking about. This is a special day for other reasons. This is a special day because today I'll be taking a phone call in guest, or two, or three, depending on how the whole thing goes. How interesting is that? This could be another segment that we do on the show from time to time. This is a bit of a beta test for it, and we'll be having a caller, somebody that's familiar with quite a few of you. If you are a member of the Discord, a lot of people would consider this person to be a friend of theirs. And I'm looking forward to having them on and having a wee chat. That's to look forward to. I suspect that we'll do that. How about we try and do that at 2? Maybe we just do the news and that together and talk about things. I don't know. I'll do the news, do the headlines, and then bring you in after that. How about that? Just to try and give you a heads up. So that would be 9:10 EST. Or 10 past 2 UK time. Kind of triangulate that for your time zone. Great. Right. Nice one. So, thank you all for joining me. By the way, have you hit the like button yet? Have you hit the like button? You should. It's recommended by YouTube analysts worldwide. Going to take a look at those stocks and others just in a second. Here's the intro clips. Hit like. Right, so great, nice one. Thank you again to everybody for joining us this morning. I really do hope that you're having a good morning today. You can't see out behind me at the minute because I'm on the green screen chart. Can you see here? See those windows? Do you see how bright that is outside at the minute for me? Wow, amazing, isn't it? The bokeh effect making it impossible to see any detail in there, of course. But yeah, wow, it's like having, it's nice. It's nice to be having a nice bright day today. For me personally, that's not going to last for long. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, actually, everybody? Can you imagine out there? Can you? It's now 20 to 2. When we're doing this show in December, which we will be, in December, there'd only be an hour of sunshine left on the day where I am. That's amazing, isn't it? And there's people out there like Vasta in Finland who've obviously got less sunshine. That's amazing, isn't it? So by the time, in December, when I'm actually doing this show, I'll be finishing up the show for me when the sun is setting. How about that? That'll be bizarre, won't it? Anyway, maybe we'll just have to figure something out, get a light box, something like that. The stocks suggested were VFF. This is from Lepton Inc. VFF. Let's take a look at this one. This is Village Farms International. Wow, that kind of that change starts off with a village. It's a village. You can picture the scene, right? You're looking at Google Maps from way up above, and you zoom down, you see this village, and then you notice that next to the village there's some farms. All right, you're like, oh hey, there's some farms. And then boom, actually zoom out, international, here we go, big scale, this is bigger, this ain't no village, this ain't no farms, this is Village Farms International, baby. Right, the 3-day chart here, by the way, just at the minute, that's what I happen to have open. Anyway, 3-day chartiolas, okay, drop down there. Was there some bullish divergence with that drop down? Not on this time frame. What about these ones? We got any hidden bullish divergence? We do indeed in there. So that's a little bit, I'll just kind of, well, not make a note of that just yet, but that's where there is that. We're obviously in an upward trend. Do we have bearish divergence at this high? We do. Do we need to consolidate in this period then, in this area as a result of that? I wonder. Let's just take a quick look at the weekly time frame, see how that went in. Highs, very much bearishly divergent there as well. Got crossed in the DMI, but it's into chop territory. You could as well look to the hidden bullish divergence with that one. Hidden bullish divergence coming in here without the swing failure having happened. So there's a little dynamic for you. As you can see here, that's the low between the two highs, and there's a recent low. This is a little bit something, a little bit education. Oh, sorry everybody. I know you're just digesting your cornflakes and Rocky's throwing education in your face already. Feckin' hell. That's not what you expected. Let's try and keep it nice and easy breezy. This top indicator here, this one's the RSI, okay? It might look a little bit different to the RSI that you use on your screen, but that line for the RSI is the same. Likely it uses the same out of the box settings that you're using on your charts as I mess around with my volume here, trying to make it not peak. Okay, and realize that I didn't succeed. Okay, yeah. Right, testing. Okay, so that's the RSI there. And over at that low, which I'm pointing at, there was a low, which is lower than the subsequent low so far. And the point that I'm really making about that is that that low comes in here at this low in terms of price action. That's this low over here. And what you can see up here is that this is your high, and then this is your next high. Oh, that's a bit of a gas mask face, isn't it? Gas mask face. I actually made it look less like a gas mask. Anyway, so these are your two highs, these two areas just here, and this is a bearishly divergent high. So you got a high here and a high here, bearishly divergent. Now down here you'll notice that that's the low, so we haven't actually taken that out until such times we get into the bearish control zone. But if we get into the bearish control zone, then things obviously look quite bad for this one. That's the weekly time frame. So the 3-day has got that kind of lack of enthusiasm towards the top side. The weekly one has that lack of enthusiasm as well, in a sense. And we the weekly, the 3-day, and we are looking at a battle in a sense between hidden bullish divergence and regular bearish divergence. So here's the 24-hour time frame. Maybe we'll get a little bit more kind of insight into this, I suppose, in a sense, because the question really does get begged of this one with regards to, have we done enough? Have we done enough with our movements back down the way in this section just here since 2021, essentially? Have we done enough here in order to be able to recover afterwards, to boil off that divergence? This as a result of this sort of little divergence type seminar that I'm doing right now. This is taking a little bit longer to do the TA on this section, so bear with me, everybody. But this is some kind of educational stuff, so it's beneficial to everybody. So what I want to look at in this section of price action over here and ask, has this retracement versus this low up to this high been of some sort of significant enough zone that we could maybe make an assessment that it is done, essentially? Or could there have an edge in the market in this area? I'm looking from where our last high was down to where this area was before we put in this section. It's maybe worth pointing out that the highs that we experienced back in 2018 on this one, being it wasn't until 2020 or 2019 that we broke up above that area. And that does seem to represent more or less the 50% area between these two, this range here. That's an area of support and resistance. So we've got that on there. So whoops, I'm always doing that. So that's one area to look to. And then you've got this retracement. Okie doke. So what do we have? Go on, line up, as if you have a magnet on your Fibonacci retrace. Mental rest. That's right. Anyway, so we didn't quite get down to that 50% area. We pushed past the 382, recovered, so far. Maybe there's a bit of an edge in the market if we can find a resolution above this zone and get some positive movement towards the top side. We've had earnings coming in as well. Now, there's a couple of flashes on the DMI that's maybe worth taking a look at, see where they ended off at. Where's this one here? It's already been done by, or has it? This is an interesting case for studying. I suppose the likes of Christy out there, Christy Callahan, who's been talking with me about this in the background, and others would be interested in this one. This is an instance where we can see that in terms of the body, we've actually fulfilled this one, but the wick, no. And it's the body, I think, that I've been looking at mostly with regards to this recently. So I think that one's done already, so we can kind of mark that off. Anyway, that's kind of for those people. Now, we're still going to have to keep an eye out for when this volatility ends, because when we do, we'll probably retrace there again, and it could be immediately, could be later on. So there could be some volatility to be had, which returns us back to our sort of set starting off point in the not too distant future. The diminishing negative momentum, it's not, there's debate to be made about hidden bearish divergence, but it's not really. So that's okay. So yeah, right. Let's just kind of make this all into context again by bringing on the Ichimoku cloud. Yep. Okay. Resistance right above our heads. This is just what this cloud says to me right here, is that it just confirms the idea that if we take out our previous highs at this stage, then we could be on for some trend in price action. And just at least in terms of like movements here between the nines to the tens up to maybe the 11s, and maybe we've got sort of 10 to 15% on the table for us there. Looking down to the 4-hour time frame, I did want to take a look at the moving averages. This is far too in depth. Don't know why I'm diving so in depth on this technical analysis. Should have been far more broad on this. I've started, so I'll finish, but I'll do the next one just much quicker. So yeah, and the same story here in the 4-hour time frame, of course. With that, it's kind of what you would anticipate. Tried it a couple of times, failed. Going to have to really try and push past our previous highs. Obviously, that'll do 2 for 1 at that point. And then we have, I wanted to put on the moving averages. Gosh darn, moving averages. There we have it. Moving averages, 50 simple right there at that edge. 949 for me. Yeah, so, the movements from here, this is all right. Is that bullishly divergent at that point too? Yes, perfect. Excellent. So, yes, in this region, there is a wedge potential. Not a wedge, not a wedge. What am I saying? A wedge. In this region, I mean, you could maybe look at it like that way. I'm not so bothered on that front myself, really, to be honest. But in this region, you could have potentially have had a wedge, just as I'm drawing here in the charts. This would give you a measured move towards the top side here of, oh, I missed the top, so I had to kind of balance that. That's pretty good. All right, so a measured move towards the top side of roughly 1150. That could happen for us if we actually, successfully manage to get this retest of the wedge, to save us. We could then therefore be looking at just, just underneath the $9 area as a stop for us, or perhaps if you wanted to be a bit more kind of loose with it, you'd be looking down to 850. I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. Always do your own research and make your own decisions in financial markets, and don't let me be the one to tell you where that you should be looking to make your entries, exits, and manage your risk. But of course, here we are looking at this, and this is how I would do it if I were looking at it, and for what I would say for myself personally. And this looks like a retest of this wedge right at the area of resistance. We've moved up a wee bit in this zone. That lower line of that wedge signifies the area at which we have, of course, got bullish divergence. We could be looking at coming in and having a retest again and again after this. I wouldn't be surprised to see things like 1016 get tested if we moved up a dollar from where we are to into the 10 region, following along trying to do this move. I would not be surprised to see retests along the way of this. For instance, a retest of that 50 simple, which happens to be lining up perfectly with the support and resistance at the Ichimoku cloud there for us on the 24-hour time frame. There was a death cross on this one, which makes sense given that pullback that we've seen in the prices, how we've seen this bearishly divergent top, the big retracement down the way, which went past the 382, but not quite as far as 50%. All of that lining up together. And by the way, in terms of the linear chart, that coming down that far represents a 618 golden pocket retrace, and now we've returned back up a little bit and consolidating with a wedge after having put in a top that came back to an area of consolidation. There's charts out there in the world that look like this all over the place. There always will be. There always has been. This is not a new thing. It's as old as the hills. You've got a high that comes in, you come down, you put in what could conceivably be a wedge, and you move up thereafter. This, of course, being the Bitcoin USDT chart. So going back over to the other one that we're looking at, Village Farms International. There you have it. That's my TA on that one. Thank you for your patience to everybody else who is watching along with that one. Mentioned during that risk management, and of course we talked about some targets. I was also mentioning that if we go up here, we could look at some trend and price action. The key thing, I suppose, if you want to remember it going back up the way with regards to this, is if we did actually look for these higher targets, you could be looking for a retest of that 236, and this is one of those times you see this harmonic alignment, which is something which not Scott Carney's invented, not him, me. So Scott Carney, in your next version of your book, if you're looking to talk about looking to talk about proprietary trade and stuff that you've personally discovered, just let it be known here that it's fully, definitely documented. And I can always remember it's back on the day of that GME earnings call, etc. That we first talked about how there's this harmonic relationship that's often discussed on the channel. You see a retrace that's just come down to an area which is such as like the 618 on the linear chart, etc. Then you're going back up towards the top side and you're looking for a target. Where that 618 would be is, of course, your profit taking target. That lines up with the invalidation of the previous retracement, giving you that nice harmonic 236 618 alignment between those two zones. Isn't it perfect? Thanks very much, Scott Carney, for reminding me in all your books to, of course, be very clear that that is something that I invented here on this channel that nobody else has ever talked about ever before. So yeah, another one of the rock outcrop titian things. That's why your target on this one might be something like in it around about $15. Right, brilliant, excellent, sweet, cool. Moving on. So we're just going to be real quick about this one, and then we'll do the news at 2, and then we'll get back round to, we'll have our guest on the show, and when we have our guest on the show, we'll bring up the GME charts and all the rest of it too, and we'll be ready for markets opening up. And the second suggestion that came in there was, of course, OGI. We also had another couple of donations, by the way, in the meantime. Michael Peters, what for one Heineken in Amsterdam? Thanks so much, Michael. Almost wonder if your name is Michael Peters. With that, if that's great, then how is Alec? Thanks so much for giving me that for a Heineken in Amsterdam. Cheers so much. Stop. This beer is not ready yet. Christy, for good vibes. Thanks so much, Christy, you lovely person. You. Wow, amazing stuff at Rocky Outcrop. Thanks so much, Lepton. Isn't it pretty neat? Right, cool. So 5 to 2. We'll be going on to the news in a second. So we've got a responsibility here to everybody for looking at what is this? Origami Holdings Inc. Is that right? Yeah, it was Origami Holdings Inc. I've heard of this one in the past. It's got a great name for it to if it wants to become a meme stock. So that's cool. So yeah, let's try and be a bit quicker about this one. There's your 24-hour time frame. We've had a big movement up the way. That looks like a deep retrace on that, doesn't it? From these lows. Let's just kind of take it from mostly down at the bottom. Pretty sure we've got that fairly accurate. Over here, looking, whoa, 886 retrace. Well, an 886 retrace. That's interesting. We've talked about this before. Let's just try and do this in terms of massive broad term stuff, shall we? This will be the only time this gets done anywhere in the world. So this might not be 100% accurate because I'm doing it pretty quick, but that's your X point. That's your A point over there. Now, we don't actually know what we don't have enough points on this thing just yet, but if we did want to look at it like this, then that's a 741. It's not quite necessarily where you'd be necessarily expecting to see that coming in at, but that's a 741. Now if you were to go for the deep crab retracement on this is a bit of a joke, by the way. When you go to the deep crab, or going for a crab, you're going down to the minus numbers on this one. Look, basically, sometimes you're not looking for the harmonic to play out. This 886 retracement they saw here is obviously very, very, very clear, but you're not going to see the price of this thing go to minus $2. It has been as low as 16 cents. That's where it started off. The recent low came in at around about $1. I don't see it going to minus $3 and continuing to trade. Anyway, talking of all of that sort of stuff, it sounds a little bit negative. That was a little bit of fun. Talking about stuff that sounds a bit negative, you were coming in for a death cross potentially here. The price action right at the death cross zone. So that's not particularly good, okay, overall. It's not particularly good. But also, it doesn't actually necessarily have to happen. We've had the death cross happened initially kind of over here when the price is in 20th of August, and then they went down for their big trend and downward move. Then they came up and recovered a bit, and now we're back down testing support, if you like. And let's just see if that is indeed the case. We are just below this support area of the 236 here. This is on again the linear charts. I'm going to flick back to logarithmic in a second here. After extend lines right, boosh. So we're just below that 236. Are we just below it? I mean, that's a bit. How long have I got? A few minutes, right? Cool. We're just below it here. Yeah. So 275, obviously, that's a good deal different. The closing yesterday came in at 261. We're at 262 at the minute. Doesn't look like there'd be a gap. Same sort of analysis with regards to the Ichimoku cloud. Being above our previous highs is a good thing. This same sort of analysis with regards to this potentially being a wedge down here. And does it look like it's got a retest of this area quite yet? I mean, not necessarily. Not necessarily in terms of this alignment here so far, working along far enough. That's fine. We could obviously see a retracement on this one, I guess you'd want to say down perhaps towards the 226 area if you were to continue inside this wedge. Undo. So look out for that if you're managing risk. Like I say, let's just call it 220. 220, 222, something like that, whatever. Breaking above the 236 with a degree of gusto would take us to a target in around 371. Bearing in mind where the Ichimoku cloud is right now, and just thinking about how things could go if we were looking for a retest, then maybe this is the sort of idea that you might actually see kind of occur with regards to this price action. Question at this minute here in time, learning this process as you go, watching along. Are those lows between those areas bullishly divergent? Just looking just here. Well, that's the low just there. Let me just remove this to there, in fact. There's your low, and there is just here. And as we can see, looking over here, it's not like massively obvious, but it is. So just kind of draw that in from way over on the left to make it a bit more clear. So you can see that it is bullishly divergent, just, but it is in there. And that's on that one. It's obviously much more evident, apparent here on the MACD, as you can see. So the same sort of idea. Incidentally, as you look here, you'll notice that it wasn't between those 2 points in the MACD and at that low in there. Interesting stuff. That was actually, in a sense, hidden bullish divergence, if you like, on the MACD when that happened. Worth pointing that out. A couple of flashes on the chart here that might need to be resolved. That one looks like it has been already. That one looks like it potentially has or is about to be. Anyway, it's like a very low profit move there. 282. Wait, actually 10% move. It does look like it. So I actually, I'd be looking here to see if we can fill in this gap. Another shout out to people who are looking at gaps. 159. This will be the last 30 seconds we spend on this thing. So folks out there who are paying attention to the indicator that we're developing here together as part of yet another thing that we do. It's not just people like Scott Kearney out there that invent stuff and then become world famous, etc. over a period of time. There are other people out there that do that, some of whom maybe sit in a chair in Scotland chatting to you across the internet. Just because this is YouTube, don't be put off. This is the best content for technical analysis that you're ever going to find anywhere in the world. It just so happens to be that I'm surrounded by contemporaries doing similar stuff who are, of course, nothing like me at all. This is a show which could exist anywhere. Anyway, excellent. Look at that. So is that the one? Oh no, it's that one up there. Wait, no, that's the open there of that candle. Oh, we've already done that flash. So spoke too soon, Rocky. We've already done that one, as you can see. And then this one here, have we already done it? Yeah, we've already done it as well. So forget that. Anyway, always good to do that sort of stuff. Keep her paying attention to it. Moving on then with the show. In 10 minutes time, I'll be bringing our guest onto the show. We should get Sanjo Kojak on one day too. Funny you say that. I actually said hello to him, but he's busy in there. We should do it, but I said hello to him in the chat earlier on in the Discord on the stage channel. How fun was that? It was nice to say hi. He's got stuff to do. He's getting ready for a wedding. And he's busy. Maybe in a few days we'll get him on then for a chat. Here's the finance.yahoo page. This is the Rocky Outcrop Show. Thank you so much for joining me. Good morning, Stonkmerica. It is 9 a.m. Ding, 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 ding. Start your day well. Have a good morning. Eat a healthy breakfast. Have a cup of coffee. Get some fresh air. Do everything right. And, of course, part of that healthy routine is tuning in to the Rocky Outcrop Show. Thanks so much. Look at all the headlines over here on this page. What's the main things that we're seeing here? Delta futures inch lower as Delta variant fears way. Yet another schizophrenic headline from Yahoo Finance and every other news outlet as they seem to kind of like flick one way and the next. Futures rally on this, futures dump on this, futures looking good for this, futures always with that, So anyway, the reason for it is that what you do is you take yesterday's price action and you apply some news to it. Whatever works for you. I never tend to read these articles, and that's why. There's the Britney Spears one that we'll be talking about over there. We've got other things like I'm kind of tempted to tick on, and in that, Warren Buffett says these are the best stocks. Those are generally speaking, though, a waste of time article to read. I resent having to ask for money for living expenses. My husband of 1 year pays half my mortgage, but not utilities. From the Moneyist. That's a headline which says to me, all I can really read that is times have changed, is what I really feel when I read that headline. Worried about inheritance tax? Read this if you're a beneficiary, executor, or a trustee. And that was something I thought actually I maybe would mention, but I don't want to read the article out, is that if you are in doing things like investing in MOAS, etc., then maybe you do want to get some sorts of advice with regards to all that sort of stuff. Now, here's this bull here. Millennials will power a bull market in stocks for decades. ARK investor Kathy would suggest. So millennials are going to power a bull market in stock for decades, says this person here. And she said, this is the echo of the baby boom, said Wood on the rise of millennial investors. Notably in 2021, Wood referenced research that suggested that bull market in stocks may extend to 2038 as millennials build out their portfolios. I don't know if this is the sort of article. I think this is the sort of thing that I'm not reading this out here right now so that you actually, believe in it. It's more along the lines of, here we are, having had a bull market the entire time since the financial crash, more or less in 2008. In America, not in the UK, we're still never recovered, but whatever, in America. And there was a period in 2016, right, when stock markets contracted somewhat for a couple of quarters. And I think you could have said that there was like that economics could have suggested that there was a recession happening at that time, but that ended, very, very emphatically with Trumpy, and then we went on up to all-time highs. Then there was the pandemic. Now that had the effect that the pandemic had, and then did 10 years almost of price action in the space of 3 weeks or whatever sort of thing. It was crazy. That's what it felt like, but of course that's the way that these things go. Could have said the same thing back in 2008, etc. And then we recovered even stronger. And there's an element of feeling like of sort of the stocks only go up, bro, about it in this headline here, that the bull market may run till 2038 because of millennials, written by a boomer. Feels a bit like the problem that millennials try and yap about. So boomers are like, shut up yapping, everything's easy in your life, you millennial yap, just get on with things. And millennials are like, but you guys, you didn't make it easy. You didn't build any houses. You just bought the houses and increased your own wealth. You didn't do anything for our generation. And you talk about it like it's easy for us, but actually you guys screwed us over massively. And she's like, yeah, but you guys are going to run a bull market for us until 2038. Anyway, confused article, thought that was a laugh. Closing that, force majeure, so hurricane, that is affecting nitrogen factory, which is impacted on fertilizer prices, and therefore fertilizer prices, which were already high, be getting higher. So maybe we see some sort of kickback down the economic chain for that. I wonder, maybe it just gets back to normal soon. Who knows? I don't know how that'll work. It's interesting to see though that that's a thing. So something for people who are interested in commodities. Oh, we'll come back to this one because it's Brittany. El Salvador Bitcoin move puts best worst crypto impulse display on display, mountain brief, blah blah blah. Look, right, this news article, this is also their morning briefing thing, but this news article here is really just a reminder to all of you that hey, look, there's a couple of things that can happen. Event psychology. None of you has really paid that much attention to Bitcoin, right? Nobody really did, even though I talked about it all the time on the show and every day, and I make special. I pay special attention to it all the time. Nobody really paid any attention to the fact that this is the point here, by the way, on the charts when El Salvador went to a completely Bitcoin only, Bitcoin as their reserve currency. Interesting stuff. It's event psychology, etc., that could be associated with this move towards the downside. Now, we've talked about this from a TA point of view. Spent a good deal of time yesterday during the harmonics class on the Discord discussing this price action, and it's got, you know, from a technical analyst point of view, it doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there if the reasons for this has got anything to do with anything like that. But it's interesting to see that coinciding with that piece of news, because of course in crypto land people would be very, very excited about this. I remember getting an email about it a few days ago saying there's 4 days until blah blah blah. The countries and base of Bitcoin puts two competing crypto visions on display. Who really cares? That has to kind of shake itself out over time. That's something that we'll talk about over time as well. I'm sure I'll keep everybody informed of how things go without all of the commentary. Bitcoin and other cryptos endured a rocky day. This one that kind of, I was compelled to click this headline, wasn't I? Had a rocky day. Well, Rocky was with us for that day. What's behind the sell-off? Let's see. Let's go find out. Should have been a happy day for Bitcoin, but it turned into a rout. That's a funny one. Bitcoin trading was at $47,000, and then it went down. Other cryptos also went down. Sell-off may reflect profit taken. Rising, yep, of course. It may reflect, the sell-off may reflect profit taken. Who wrote this one? Darren Fonda. Here, Darren, it didn't represent loss-making, buddy. When people sold stuff after a 50% rise, it didn't represent loss-making, Darren. Certainly didn't represent that. Anyway, it might have maybe had something to do with people taking profits. Nobody really knows. Maybe there was a real bit of news from the, you know. Anyway, the down day may also sell their news dynamic after El Salvador became the first country to adapt Bitcoin. So there you go. He's trying to steal my thunder there, this guy, with his article, posting that out there. So anyway, but there's also crypto watchers are also blaming technical factors for the market downturn, assuming prices don't suddenly surge. Bitcoin's now in for outside down day, says Katie Stockton, founder and managing partner of Fairlead Strategies, a crypto trading research firm. This means Bitcoin is trading in a wider range and headed for a lower close than yesterday, assuming a 5 p.m. cutoff, though it trades 24 hours. What's the point in that? Why is this so badly written? I hate this news article. I hate these people. I really hate all of this stuff. Right, anyway, Fairhead Strategies. What the hell do you do? Why would anybody... What do you do? I'm a technical analyst. What do you do? Your leading source for unbiased technical analysts helping investors manage risk to cover opportunities. How much do they charge? I should charge this. How much do they charge? Services. Basic plan. What? $1,997 for bollocks a year for their basic plan. What? Right, $3,750. What do you get for Wait a minute. What do you get for 3,000? Includes all features based on including Fairlead tactics and starting line, in addition to a weekly report filled with sector deep dive. What? Why? What? Hit the fucking like button. Hit the like button on this video so that this type of crap. Hit the like I said. Just because this is YouTube, do you want me to go out there and get a fancy pants URL and then use like a serif font on a website with do you want me to get a serif font? Do you want me to have a serif font? Is that what it requires? Do I need a serif font just to get a bit of goddamn respect around here? Anyway, just kidding. That's just for fun. Britney Spears, however, her father moves to end the conservatorship, but court battles far from over. In a shocking turn of events, Jamie Spears has filed to end his pop star daughter's controversial 13-year conservatorship, moving to resolve a polarizing legal battle that's drawn massive public scrutiny. In court filings late Tuesday, the elder Spears stated that Britney is entitled to have this court now seriously consider whether this conservatorship is no longer required. The document that read that Britney Spears' circumstances have changed to such an extent that the grounds for establishment of a conservatorship may no longer exist. Things have changed. Yes, Britney's back, bitch. Right, excellent. Here we go. It is coming up. Let's bring on our caller. I'm sure you've all been super excited to figure out who that is, or else indeed perhaps you all already know who that is. I don't really know, but the caller is coming on here in just a second or two, and it is our friend, of course, Bad Mama Jama. He's a member of the Discord. He is always in there in the general voice chat, etc., giving everybody entertainment, being a friend to everybody, and of course, supporting the channel. Bad Mama Jama, are you with me? Let me know. Welcome to the Rocky Outcrop Show. You're live on YouTube, my friend.
Oh, what's going on? Yeah, I'm here.
Yo, buddy, it's so good to have you here. Hey, how you doing, man? How you having a good morning? It's about 9:15 where you are. Is that right?
8:15,
Quarter
and
past eight.
Walmart parking lot is looking good.
Are you in for a sunny day today by the looks of things up there?
I'm in the shade right now, trying to stay out of the sun, but it is nice.
So, man, it's good to have you on board. We've talked quite a few times about stocks and all that sort of stuff. And one of the reasons why we look at AHT, Ashford Hospitality Trust, on the show so often is because, as well, that's also one of your babies that you've been trading for the last wee while. What else have you been looking at recently? Is there anything else that we should take a look at? Have you got any sort of
Uh,
irons in the fire?
I like a couple actual stocks. CCJ,
CCJ,
yes,
Kamiko,
right.
or
It's a
Kamiko.
uranium stock.
Cool. Oh, is it? Right. Cool. Okay.
Yes,
That's gone up quite a bit. Wow, it's trading quite high at the minute. Interesting stuff. What else? What else? What else?
URNM.
More uranium, huh? Is it? Ah, Northside Global
Uh,
Uranium Mining.
and then there's a new one I just looked at today. It's MILE.
Mile. Metro Mile Inc. Metro Mile. What are they all about?
Just I got just someone in chat came in and asked and brought up the ticker, and I just looked at it and I just got really interested in it. I just started looking at it last night, really. So I haven't got
Yeah.
it into it yet.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? The it was
Just
kind
the
of
just
what.
the monthly. Just look at the monthly. It comes into like a basically like a little pennant. Just it's going to either jump up or down, one of the two. I'm just trying to figure out which way it's going to go.
I wonder. I wonder. Right. Well, interesting stuff, man. That's cool. So these are all stocks that people can watching along here. There's the Discord and all that. Feel free to do some TA on this thing and drop into the general chat and chat with it with Bad Mama Jam about it. I'm sure he'd love that. Yo, man, are you looking forward to the earnings call later on?
Oh yeah, always looking forward to it.
I really enjoyed the last one, to be honest with you. Overall,
This would be my first one I get to sit into though. Like I haven't got to sit into any of the other ones. This would be an actual first one I'm gonna sit into, sit in
that's
and
cool.
listen and everything.
Yeah, I think I'll probably listen along live as well. Last time it was on, I was doing the show live because I was doing the show in the evening times then, and it was good and everything, but it was quite late and all that. Maybe I don't know if I'll listen to it, if I'll do broadcasting. Maybe Jamie will be live later. By the way, for people watching along, Jamie is Tradespot and he's my brother. You'll see him in the chat as well, chatting away. He's fantastic. He's got a great channel, twice the number of subscribers that I have on YouTube and all that. Definitely check him out. Maybe Jamie will be watching that later on. The last one was cool. I liked listening to the departing CEO welcome the incoming CEO, and he was and we were listening at the time, and I remember talking and saying at the time that he sounded dead enthusiastic and nice and like he was prepared for all this happening and very much seemed to be offering the incoming CEO Furlong his best wishes. Then I remember afterwards reading articles from people saying things like how that he just that Ryan Cohen came in and he just destroyed the board that was there and threw people out that hadn't had enough time to do a good job and brought new people in. And I thought to myself, that's such BS, you know. The guy that was the previous CEO was in there as a transitionary CEO anyway. He knew that's what would be happening, and you could hear by listening in his voice. And I think that there's something to be said with these earning calls, which goes beyond the transcript. You know, if you read the transcript, it's really hard to tell what people are really are like. You know, it's hard to get that there. But I remember listening to it and hearing the guy and just thinking he sounds genuinely happy. And that just made it so that I knew that any of those articles that came out later on saying that he wasn't were just BS. Like I could just tell. Um, yeah. Do you ever think about looking at investing in Walmart?
Actually, I like Walmart a lot.
Yeah, I dislike Walmart a lot too. They're so bad to their staff. All you hear is like negative stories about Walmart.
Well, the Walmart where I'm from, all self out. They got work and they hire people jobs and they get like Walmart doesn't do like that much wiped out every small have and
Yeah, there's a distinct lack of sort of social care from Walmart when it comes to this. I mean, they go into an area and they know that they destroy local businesses, and then afterwards, they know that people rely on it. People end up becoming dependent on the Walmart, and then at that point, they're able to decrease the working conditions of the staff. You know, give them worse prospects for the future and put unreasonable targets on them. I've heard stories of the Walmart sort of growth targets being so incredibly unreasonable. Like 10, 15 years ago, they were like an excellent company to work for. And nowadays, they just want things to be talking about efficiencies and stuff. So the managers are massively incentivized to make things worse for the staff and for customers and everything. And it's just got to the point where it's kind of toxic. I'm a Farmer Joe's man myself, if I'm honest.
hopefully they can hear me now. That
Oh, you're back.
the internet sometimes they cut Walmart cuts off.
Aye, well, that's what I'm talking. That's what we're talking about over here. The internet is BMJ just went silent. Yeah, it's cool. BMJ's back though. He's back. He went silent, but he's back. What is this? A call for ants? Oh, wait a minute. No, people still can't hear you. Oh, I fucked it. Bad Mama Jamma. I screwed it over. I went to the wrong
Oh,
screen. Now, over on
uh,
this screen, they can hear you. See, I ruined it.
okay.
Thanks everybody in the chat for this is the
I
teething. This
seen
is
him. Seen him in there talking about it, so I switched out. I came right back. Just hopefully think it was.
It wasn't your fault, man. Though it was my fault. Thanks for doing that and for reading the chat. Yeah, no, this everybody. If you're new here, this is the first call in that we've had on the show. So I've done video interviews with people, but and stuff, and we've done that before. But those are a bit more prepared. This is just chatting with a friend essentially about what they've got going on in their trading life at the minute. And yeah, I'm learning as I go here in the sense that I didn't have the audio on the right thing on the right screen. Anyway, so yeah, man, Bad Mama Jamma, 10 minutes till markets open. What do you feel like in the morning time when the markets are opening? Is it the most exciting part of the day for you?
Yeah, I about want to scream, "Let's go!" every day.
Yeah. Yeah,
I do. I
man.
actually go to a Korean ants channel and scream, "Let's go!" every morning. Every
Those
morning,
Korean
I
ants
usually
are
go in
really
there. At
nice.
some point, they're freaking amazing. Even if I can't like speak or talk to them, we have like emoji conversations. Great.
Yeah, totally. You can say so much with you can say so much with emojis, right? It's amazing. That's funny.
Yes.
So there's
I
another channel out there, by the way, if you're wondering, that's all about GME and the short squeeze, etc. And it's Korean, so the guy's talking away in Korean. It's all totally unintelligible to me, except occasionally they'll say 1, 2, 3 and stuff like that in there as well. And it's nice to go in because they're all dead friendly and they and have emoji conversations with them. The weekends, man, the weekends these days, they're a pain, aren't they? With the lack of
too long.
too long, right? Too long. You want the markets to be back open.
Yeah, that's
See,
why I've been looking into like dipping into the crypto world, so I don't have to worry about the weekends being that long.
oh yeah, that's great, man. That's the crypto. Even if you're not like actually proactively trading the stuff, just see having a chance to see a market move around, is fantastic because it means that you can like think about, you could be looking at the stock that you really like and thinking, oh, there's a pattern here, there's a pattern there, and then you can go and you can try and find something like that on crypto over the weekend, or just kind of be familiar or keep your edges, your skills really sharp. Even if you're not trading it, just by being familiar with charts and the movements of them, I personally think that having crypto out there is fantastic because it fills a gap for me in that sense. Before, if you wanted to do this sort of thing, you needed to look at forex, but you didn't get that all the time, or commodities, and you don't get them all the time. And with cryptocurrency, it's fantastic because it keeps going no matter what. It's always, always, always keeps trading, even times when the markets are getting hacked or anything like that, or an exchange gets hacked, it still just keeps going. Yeah, it's brilliant, man. Yeah. So like do you trade crypto?
I'm just waiting for the right time. In my opinion, I just don't think it's the right time right now.
Mm-hmm. And
Just kind of like waiting it out. I like Ethereum a lot. I like XRP, and I mean I like Bitcoin, but it's pricey for a guy like me.
do you already have like a trading account and everything else like that?
Just
Like,
got I just got a Binance account the other day,
yeah,
so
Binance
not
US.
sure. Like there's not really any good accounts in the US. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like that crypto.com or Binance. There's really not nothing. If anybody knows a good or a good trade off that's better than those two, it'd be awesome.
Yes, I know. There are ones. There's ones that you can get access to. I mean, I've talked about this before with people. For example, you can get on KuCoin, and that's got so many coins on there, loads and loads and loads, and it's got lots of different options on there. Not options, sorry, and for it doesn't have option contracts, but it's got lots of different choices in terms of it's got futures, it's got lots of like leverage products, it's got spot trading, of course, and one of the things about it then is, of course, you can buy whatever cryptocurrency you're looking for and withdraw it to your personal wallet so that you've got it, you own it. Even though it might not be available on another exchange, but one of the things about it is that I would say to anybody that uses it that if you use two-factor authentication on your account, which you should, then you lose your two-factor authentication device, then you need to prove who you are with KYC to get access to your account again. And, it's a little bit like, I don't know what would happen at that point. I honestly don't know what would happen if you've got a US account, if they would just say to you, okay, it's frozen, you can't trade anymore, you can withdraw, but you have to leave. I don't know what they would do. I don't know. So, but certainly in terms of access and a company which doesn't, it's not financial advice, and I'm not telling anybody to go out there and do it. I just think that I'm pretty sure that they don't prevent you from getting on. It's the same sort of thing. I think like VPNs, etc. But what would be ideal? I mean, this is ridiculous that we'd have to talk like this, isn't it? It's completely insane because we got Gensler in charge of the SEC, or the chairman of the SEC. He's obviously very much pro crypto. Yet you see America being so restrictive on crypto trading, and just crypto in general has not really been embraced fully there yet. So yeah, and as well, TradeSpot saying VPNs are not the security that they used to be. So exactly, and Coinbase fees are huge though. Exactly, Coinbase available in the US, it's got a limited number of cryptos. It's got larger fees. If you use the regular Coinbase, it's huge. So yeah, man, it's a struggle for you over there to get it. But you
I'm just
already
looking
do
for
have a.
just
Sorry,
looking for
man.
something like for like a long term play for my kids. Want to like buy like $10,000 to $50,000 for both my kids in like Ethereum and just keep it. And when they turn like 18, just hand them a wallet and be like, here you go. This is what I mean.
That's a beautiful thing. I
That's
think
just
that's a
kind
good
of,
idea,
and
man.
then I then and then I actually just kind of want to learn just swing trade, man. That's just something I'm interested in, swing
Yeah,
trading.
definitely. And you can do it, and you can, and because because unlike that article that I read earlier on, there is event psychology. There's all sorts of psychological and extraneous factors that can affect a market. Of course there are, but just like that, I was reading that article and it said that technical reasons may also be to blame or whatever. It's like, who are you kidding? Technical reasons are almost the answer for everything in every situation in any stock, commodity, forex, anything. It's almost always the answer. Almost always the answer. But in crypto land, it's pretty much entirely exclusively the answer. You know, like the technical stuff in cryptocurrency is so front and center that it makes it that it's an arena which you can go into knowing that the prices moved up 5% today, down 5% the next day, up 5% the next day, down 5% the next day, or whatever. And none of that has got anything to do with news, with it's got nothing to do with some fundamental change or anything like that. So it forces you to think in that mindset of, well, if I have to rely on technical analysis, then there's no point debating which one's better and which one's worse out of the fundamentals and technicals, which is really good because there isn't a debate there. It's technicals is the answer to that. So for people who are kind of on the fence about that, just go and start looking at cryptocurrency for a while, then come back to the regular markets, and your perceptions will have changed. But yeah, it's brilliant, man. So the markets are about to open up in 2 minutes, and how about we do this? I'll keep you on here for a wee while, man, and we kind of look at them opening up together. So let's just bring up a couple of a couple of things that we've talked about on the show recently. One of them is 23andMe. I think Ms. A in the YouTube chat and all that is a fan of 23andMe. We talked about this one back when it was like a SPAC and whatever else, and now it's trading away all happy. I don't actually know. I can't remember when we talked. Whatever. Anyway, 23andMe. Could this be at the bottom of it a kind of inverse head and shoulders? Is what I'm looking at over here now. I don't expect you to follow along with all the charts as I jump from one to the next, Bam Mama Jamma. But what's your opinion?
I got him going.
But we can talk, about companies as we go through. I mean, what's your opinion on 23andMe and what they're all about as a business?
Well, this is the first time I've actually looked at 23andMe and a business. I've never really heard of them, honestly.
Oh, they're the guys. They're the guys that do. That'll tell you send them in a sample of your DNA, and then they tell you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're
we were talking about this in Discord.
Yeah, yes, that's right. And it's like so you can find out all about stuff like, for instance, when I walk outside and it's sunny, I have photosensitivity, so I sneeze when I see sunlight. It's weird, but if I see it's bright, I'll sneeze. And there's a genetic marker for that, so you can get your. So they send you back a bunch of bump about your genes, tell you what traits that you're likely to have, and then over time, as they discover more and whatnot, you can kind of log into your profile. However, that all sounds brilliant, but however, it's worth remembering that at that point they own your DNA sequence. They own your DNA sequence, right? So one of my things about this is, and it could be like not a black swan, but the opposite type of thing. Imagine one day somebody sent off their DNA. Put it into context. Imagine 23andMe read a news article one day about a guy called Bab Mama Jamma who'd been exposed to COVID 100 times but had never managed to contract it, and they also had your DNA. They might have the answer right there, which they already own, ready to go to do it. So imagine another thing, which is like first human born ever that can fly, or whatever. They've got the DNA sequence of the parents to put together to make that. You know what I mean? They own the DNA. They have it. It's a strange one for me. I've talked about wanting to do these things. I could have done them in the past, but I've never done them because I don't want anyone else to own my genetic sequence. It's my genetic sequence. I want to own my data. Anyway,
that's why I've never done it either.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of like someone else. It's like your personal property. It's like,
yeah, exactly. I don't want somebody to be able. I don't want it to be like I mean, it's not going to happen. I mean, it's like arrogant to think so, but it's just that slippery slope idea. I don't want it to be that suddenly there's people selling my information or whatever in that sort of a way. It's far more. I think it's far more significant than Google being able to read my emails. Is some company being able to read my DNA and to know everything about me, you know. If they
Yeah.
find some genetic marker, etc., in my DNA, I don't want them really knowing about it before I do, or whatever else. Anyway,
It's better than being a donator of something else than 20 years later you got a little bad walking next to you and you didn't know it.
yeah. Right. So, could this be an inverted head and shoulders at this point? I'm kind of wondering, in a sense, if we don't see it taking out those 781 area, and I can't remember, Ms. As I see you're in the chat there, and you're totally welcome for me having looked at this the other day. I can't remember what I said about it the other day. At this point here, you know, we're below the 236 just on this chart here, as you can see on both linear and logarithmic. We're below the 236, and but if we were to take out that sort of 780, or I don't know, 777 or 770 or something like that, then maybe we've not got that inverted head and shoulders look to the thing. But if we go up anywhere between here and that 780 area, back up to that $9 price point, then maybe we really do have a head and shoulders, and the range on that thing would be sort of 7 to 9, really. So $2. So that could take you from $9 to $11. And well, the 618 golden pocket is in there, in at around about 1065, 1069. So maybe for me, not financial advice, etc., maybe for me on this one, if I were trading it, I'd maybe look to 1069 as my take profit on that one, if I got into it managing risk anywhere around about 767 or something like that. Got GME open at the minute. GME, it's your favorite stock, right? I
Yes.
think it's everybody's favorite stock at the minute.
Bouncing around right now. 203.
203, exactly, bang on. Actually, the moment you said that, to the penny. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It's okay. I've got the 24 hour. I've got the daily time frame up at the minute, and we're inside that cloud. You know, we're inside that cloud, in the most simplistic sense. The essence of the cloud, given that it's formed by looking at the price action, looking at the candles themselves, what the prices were at certain times, and then projecting that information into the future to create the cloud. Which is why, if you're looking at the charts now, there's a cloud way in front of us. It's previous price action projected into the future, and what that really does is show us where the guts and all the guts and glory of the previous moves in the market were. So for me personally with GME, I don't mind spending a wee bit of time in all this zone, because, you know, all it takes is to be reminded of that. The Ichimoku cloud is a palpable, real, in-your-face reminder. All you need to do is look to the left, and you can see that in this region, we spent a fair amount of time in the past. We were hoping that this would be, you know, as low as it would need to go. If I kind of just show people from roughly around about the lows of that basin up to the highs, roughly the 50% area was in at around about perhaps 213. Depending on which low you took to measure it, maybe it was 210. But if you went to the actual, you know, the big low in at the end of March, the 50% line came in at more or less $200, and that's and you know, this $200 level for us is like a really big deal. So here we are at $200 again, and to me, it's kind of like, well, that's okay to be spending time here. We spent time here on the way down. We spent time here on the way down after January, and the fact that, you know, in May, June, that we shot up through this area, what that did was it was quite parabolic. It left gaps on the chart. It made like these little questions as we went along the way of like, could we really go up way more now, or do we need to go back down and fill in that gap first off, blah, blah, blah. You know, to me personally, having a bit more patience and then a bit less need in the long run for significant pullbacks to this particular price zone is fine by me. And that's the way that I'm looking at that one. Do you feel patient Bad Mama Jamma, because I know I was reading the Discord earlier on, and somebody in there was talking about how they while they remain completely patient, just expressing some of that sort of feeling that you get of and I think fair play to do it on an earnings day. You know, there's good news coming up. It's good. It's not good news, but there's stuff happening. You know, good, hopefully good news and good things happening. It's a time to be excited, but also then in the face of that good news, if somebody feels like they need to say, I've been tired, you know, it's tiring, it can be tiring, etc., then I think fair enough, you know, that's okay. So Stonkowski, shout out to you, brother, was saying earlier on how it can be fatiguing waiting for this. Now, obviously, he believes in the MOAS. He's put in, technically, he's put in probably more than he can afford to put in, and all this sort of stuff. And fair play to him. But also, it's understandable. And that's why I spent some time there talking about how I'm happy enough to spend some time in this region if it means that, you know, at the price of some patience, what you get is more stability and consistency on the way up. Then I'm happy enough with that. I think that's a fair enough price to pay. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure Bam Mama Jama had a question in the middle of that, and then I was talked so much during the question I forgot what the question was. How rude of me.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just going to tell people, like, what's like a couple years to wait for the most money you've ever seen in your entire life on that aspect. What's a couple years to make money you've ever imagined? I mean, just think about that. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. I mean that's better than 40 to 50 working your life away for people that pay you nothing. In my mind.
That's it, man. You see, the difference there between those two things is that because there's a constant, time's going to go by anyway. But you've got this sort of proactive patience, don't you? In terms of like, I'm investing in something now. We're investing in GME and all the rest of it. That's good, but this applies to all walks of life. You know, if you're patient with regards to your investments, if you're patient with regards to the decisions that you make and things like that, and, you know, combine that with being compassionate towards yourself, etc., as a human being, etc. too. But if you're able to do that, then you'll probably make far better decisions and that if you're proactively patient, as opposed to somebody who just sleepwalks through life and spends 50 years working in a job and gets to the end of it and thinks, what did I ever do? You know, 2 years really is nothing. Except everybody obviously wants something here now, always now. But you know, waiting some time to get returns on investment and being patient is good. And knowing that in advance means that you're probably more likely to pick things which are less about sort of rich quick schemes and instead just increase the speed at which you get rich naturally. I mean, it's like you don't want a get rich quick scheme. Instead, what you want is to be able to improve your skill set and your knowledge and your behavior patterns, etc., so that you get rich, that you can guarantee getting rich eventually, and then life is way happier if you know that you are working towards a goal patiently, proactively. Then you're sort of much more happy in life anyway. So what is 2 years for anything in life, you know? So and I think just beyond MOAS, just in terms of anything in life, what is 2 years? You know, what really is it? It's nothing at all.
You have a great analogy the other day when we were in the general, and you said you're just outside of a door. You got the door open. You're looking in, really dark. People in there. They ain't made it out to the light yet, but there's people in there. We're the people in general. We're the people in the dark working together to try and make it through this together. And there's other things you can do to improve your GME too. While you're waiting, have just a little bit of money, just keep making more and more and more until you can buy another GME, and that actually helps with the time.
Aye, and it makes it so that you're engaged in what you're doing. So yeah, the whole and I guess in a way that's like it's I suppose I should give a little bit of credit to Socrates with his whole cave thing from a couple of thousand years ago, the philosopher saying that. But there's a lot to it, and I don't know if everybody necessarily feels kind of enlightened or whatever by what we're doing. But I do know that everybody involved in this is engaging in their own destiny, and I think that for a lot of people it's a massive difference, right? That if you just proactive thinking to yourself, I want to make a change for the better for myself. I'm going to try and do something. I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to believe in myself, and that's what we're doing here as individuals, which all adds up collectively to a big thing that people on the outside could call like a movement or whatever. But really, it's just investing in yourself, investing in your future, investing in patience, taking a proactive role in your own destiny. Amazing stuff. Compared to simply just dream walking through life. What's your feeling on AMC movie theaters, Bad Mama Jamma?
I'd feel a lot better if they actually own their own theaters. First off, um, uh, I mean, let's be real. If the market crashes and the bank decides they come back and ask for their money, they got $2 billion sitting in their account. They can just sit there and be like, "Well, we need some of that money. We're gonna have to fork up." And then, I'm not a huge fan of the CEO. I think he's just kind of playing the people, kind of just, he's a Twitter guy which I don't think you're CEO, which be on Twitter and like basically just buttering people up like he does.
Mm-hmm.
I think the board will override him at some point in time when the stock gets to a certain point, and then just sell out to try and better for do sell out for themselves. And I hope they try and. I mean, don't get me wrong, they need to do something to get out of debt they're in, but I think the board will do it at some point in time.
Yeah. So
even without the vote of the people.
Yeah. So a lot of people out there that are massively invested in AMC will have heard you speaking and thought, "Oh no, no, don't say these things." Fair enough, though. The thing is that for me with this one, it's kind of like there's two different. You mentioned the CEO there. There's two different views. You've got the GME approach, which is one where I feel, and who knows, could be wrong. I suppose we all could be, but I think we all feel like Ryan Cohen is kind of on our side. I don't know if that's the right phrasing to put on it, but you get this feeling.
It's like it to me.
Yeah, and whereas with AMC, you don't get that sort of warm, cozy feeling of, hey, this guy's really on our side. I feel like when that Ryan Cohen is got this big red button mentality to his Twitter account, that he looks at it and thinks to himself every time he goes to write a tweet, "Oh, I could, I better be careful here. I don't want to say anything that could do anything." But he could always at any point just be like, "Fuck the hedgies." Whereas with Adam Aaron, I don't get that feeling so much that he's like, I think that everything that he's likely to say is just going to just be kind of standard sort of stuff and whatever. Scripted. And it's not that, yeah. And I mean, he has responsibilities as a CEO, right? In terms of laws and all this piss. They all do, all these guys. Of course they do. So you have to respect that he can't hardly be out there saying stuff that's against the law for him to say. But by the same token, I get that feeling, because we talked about this at the time at the time of that share issue when they did the 11 million shares, just the day after, he went on the day after he went on, or that night or whatever it was, he went on Trey's show. And it was all a little bit like, that's so convenient the way that you set all that up, and I don't know, it just seemed a little bit like and that there was no consultation with anybody, and all that. So I don't know, I kind of felt like there was a little bit of that letdown factor that's not been addressed. And then on that basis, whenever I hear someone like yourself, Bad Mama Jamma, saying that they basically don't rate AMC, I don't argue with it. It's fine, and all that. But I mean, by the same token, I'm still trading this thing. I still think it's good, and I still think it can be a part of everything that we're doing here.
think it can make really good money for people. It made me great money.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie about that. And so I think it can make really great money for people, just the way you play it. Just,
yeah.
on this one, it's a little more cautious of a play than I feel than GME is.
Uh, have I still got you there, Bad Mama? Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So I feel the same, man. It's a wee bit more sort of cautious about about it in terms of that kind of like there's certainly a group of people out there in the world who um who would there's nothing you could say to that would change their belief about GME. Um, and I think that makes up a big chunk of the people who invest in GME. And I'm not entirely sure that the same sort of numbers, in terms of the percent of shareholders with AMC thing, is the same thing. I'm not too sure in terms of like when things go crazy sort of ideas. But by the same token, I don't really. There's a big reason why I'm not so sure. When Ambo outside going mad at the minute. Sorry about that. There's a big reason why I don't know
Not
why I'm
good.
not so sure, and that's because I don't spend any time looking into the research like researching what the gen. I mean, how can I
Yeah,
know? How can I really know what 3 million shareholders or whatever? I mean, how can I know what 3 million individual people think? And as far I can't. That's about as many people own AMC shares as live in my entire country that I'm here. So
just going to tell you this from a mid to lower class, okay? And there's a lot of people that I know that have AMC around here, a
yeah,
lot. For them people to see six or to see a six-figure number or even a five-figure number come into their account would change their world. So if you're like when I say and when I say that they're new investors, not
yeah,
like longevity. They've been in there, and I was a new investor. I'm only like 5 6 months deep into this, but a lot of new investing money. AMC is where GME. It seems like get a lot of people that kind of rotate to it and have AMC too. You know what I mean? You have both, and
yeah. And that
people
said,
end up only having one.
and that's said with the greatest of respect, because life changing money is life changing money, and far be it from any of us to say when somebody experiences life changing money, and their life has changed, what they should do at that moment. Like only they're going to be able to tell us what that is, and it has to be what's right for them, etc. But I see what you're saying in terms of like so many people have got into this thing uh, for that money, and that I think that's part of the debate that goes on. It's like, where's the paradigm? How many
We were
people
just
are?
talking about the weight too, and a lot of these people can't have the weight like most people can. And so going to be looking like if it bumps up to 80 to $100, and let's be honest, a lot of these people are going to be like, is it going to fall back out? I'm scared. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and there will be movements, and of course as well, that's horrifying to look at. When Monday your account says 70 grand, Tuesday your account says 50 grand, Wednesday your account says 60 grand. I mean, this is it's just incredible levels of stress for somebody who's thinking about whether or not in the rest of their life they're thinking about things like, oh, I better not leave my engine running as I wait outside the shop for my wife to come out because I'm going to run out of gas. And it's like reconciling those two things together are completely impossible. And so to ignore that would be disrespectful. It's like you can't. It's the human element of this thing is so incredibly powerful for people. So yeah, right. That's I think that's a fair comment. Then you've got other opportunities that are out there in the world, like so Ashford Hospitality Trust is one of these ones, and we've talked about this a fair amount recently. With the end of if I suppose we still have to say if because of Delta stuff and everything else, but if
Yeah.
we can kind of get back to quote unquote normal, sort of, then maybe we're looking at a stock over here which has got uh um a
Flash
powerful.
indicator going off.
Pardon?
A flash going off on the 4 hour on it.
Oh, is there? There's we should be looking at we should be look at what we're looking at here is a company. Indeed, there is. What we're looking at here is a company which is which could potentially change from being look, sorry, what I'm saying here is this is a real estate investment trust, right? This is the type of company that this is. It's a real estate investment thing. So what that really means is that there's real estate out there that's owned by a big fund essentially here that you can buy into and trade and own and take part in yourself as an investor. But rather than just having like cobwebs growing over all these buildings and them not being used, it's they're managed, and they're used to generate income. Now, rather than as well having a real estate investment trust that has a restaurant here, a car garage there, a car wash, a hotel, an office block, this is a hospitality one. So what they're able to do there is have expertise within the organization with regards to running hotels. And specifically high-end hotels. So that's what they do here. So whenever they have things like their AGMs and everything else, the questions and conversations are to do with things like occupancy rates, and are to do with things like for their conversation right now with regards to the real estate investment trust is to do with things like their earnings coming in after the delta, after we, whenever people return to work, etc. And so that's where we are with. So that's what we're looking at here. A company or whatever which has got tons and tons of assets, which over a long period of time will go up a great deal in value. And not only that, but they're not just like blocks of empty land. This is high-end hotels. So often the stuff that they own is really good quality land with really good quality buildings on it in a really good prime location in town. So it's like the good stuff. So that's what this company does, and it manages that stuff, and it has a degree of expertise in there with regards to hoteliershipizing management. And so that's where we are with this one, and we're looking to see, can we see this turn around? And for the people who aren't maybe not super familiar with the chart, you're looking at something which has dropped tons and tons and tons and tons in value. Now, I think just like from the sort of outside perspective, looking back at property values since January 2020, we know that property values by and large have kind of gone up, right? Not that they've gone down. Certainly not that they've gone down from this, where if you were to value this company, it was in there around about $280 per share, down to where we're at now, where it's like $15 per share. Now, those numbers are slightly different in the sense that there was a reverse split with this thing. So back in January, when those numbers came out, it would have been, $20 per share, etc. But then it's gone 10 to 1. I mean, this company's been so affected by the pandemic, if you like, that it's actually had to do a reverse stock split just to remain listed on the NYSE. So yeah, that's where we are with this one.
Two reverse, right?
That's right, 2 of them, big ones too. I mean, this one over here was 1 to 10. So if you owned 10 shares to begin with, then you owned 1 afterwards. It went down. So it's a 90% decrease in the supply of shares when that happens. And so that's why this all kind of, this wait a minute, when was that one? That was in July, 19th of July. Was that? Yeah, that was the last one. And then the one before then was another 1 to 10 over there on the 16th of July 2020. That's right, the previous year. Yeah, there was a year between those two. So over here there was, if you had 100 shares at that point, then in the 19th of July you had 10 shares, and then over here you had 1 share. So the guy that owned 100 shares in March 2020 owns 1 share now. Ridiculous, in terms of those numbers. It's insane. Yet, have they sold off all their hotels? Did the hotels not really exist? All these sorts of things. Well, no, actually, the hotels, they do exist. The hotels genuinely are worth the guts of $4 billion in assets and stuff like that. So this is so anyway, Bad Mama Jamma brought this one to my attention, and it's interesting for a number of reasons. Not least of which just simply things like how there's that gap. You know that? Do you know the gap I'm talking about, Bad Mama? There's a gap there from $30
$39
to
gap.
yeah, $39, which is more than twice the price from where it is now. You know.
There's a gap at 409 too. You really
So
want to start looking.
yeah. So this is something which is no, this is not me pushing an investment on anybody. This is just understanding the reasons why. Sorry, I want to be just take a second here to be clear. Bad Mama Jama is and didn't push this onto me, and me in turn, I'm not pushing this onto you at all in any way. I'm just talking about why I might be interested in a company and what sort of research I might have done about its fundamentals when you're looking at it being here at all-time lows. Asking questions about the survivability of this company, the feasibility of it, etc., and talking about this thing, and that's why it's interesting. And I think it's interesting from a sort of a financial education point of view, regardless of whether or not you want to trade this thing, because down here at those lows, like 18th of August, we were talking about this. D Harker and yourself, Mama Jama, and myself, were all in the Discord talking about how it's scary down there at the $12.10 price point, and then it moved back up a bit to $15, and that was an education then. And then just like looking at a company and kind of thinking, well, what's this worth? How's it worth? How much is it worth? And doing a little thing like for instance, this earnings call is coming out with GME later on today. There'll be discussions there, and there maybe will be questions perhaps put to them that they answer perhaps, and lots of interesting kind of lots of interesting nuanced parts of this thing. So if you go and you want to know about a company that you're really invested in, go and listen to their last earnings call, even if it was a couple of months ago. You can listen to it and hear like what they're like and how they are managing their business. And it's interesting when you hear about the health really of this business that's there, like how anyway, just to see when it's at all-time lows. It's interesting to reconcile the opinions of the person on the ground within the company who's running the thing to the stock prices. And then of course when you know who they are and you've heard that, and you find out that the guy himself that's talking about it is also buying the shares himself at a price which is currently higher than the price of the current share price now, and he runs the company and he bought shares higher than the current share price is now a couple of weeks ago, you'd hope that it would at least go up higher than that. He's incentivized because it's his job and because he owns a chunk of the company too. It's double incentive for him to actually make it worth something. We're making it round to 3 o'clock. Wow, top of the hour. Bad Mama Jama, thank you so much for being a part of the show here today. It's fun. I should maybe let you go though, and then I don't know. Should maybe let you go and talk about and thank you for having come on here. I'm sorry for having talked, man. I think I talked more than you did. Should have had you talk more.
Oh, you're fine.
Gemma.
You're fine. You're fine. It's no big deal.
Thanks, man.
I just want to give a shout out to the gamers. That's why I'm actually here. I just want to give one shout out to all the gamers.
Yeah, man.
Just a couple in particular. Be like Fluxury and Savage and Zamza. There's a couple of them that are just out there that are really, really, really everyday, hard day gamer grinders, and kind of like you guys, just want to do better. So
shout out to yourself. Shout out to yourself, Bad Mama Jama. You're a massively supportive guy. You're really, really, really a positive influence on people, and that's appreciated. And also, you've been really great to these other streamers. You've been really great to myself. So just thanks for being an inspirational dude. And I think those other streamers you've mentioned there would probably echo those comments if they feel anything like I do, which I don't doubt that they do. Bad Mama Jam, you've also today here by being the first call-in caller to the show helped. It breaks the ice, if you like. The next person that comes on can be inspired by that and all the rest of it. Can also have you back on as well at some point, and that'd be cool.
Thanks so much, man. Just be yourself, guys.
Totally awesome. Here, by the way, have you got any plans in the Discord over the next wee while? We should maybe do something again, like another movie night and all that sort of stuff. A comedy night.
and Sal were talking about last night. My mother wants to have a she wants to have a gardening stream day, like on a weekend, like on a Sunday. She wants
Yeah,
whoever wants to get together. My mom wants to have like a just a gardening talk day,
yeah,
and I'm gonna try and put that together for whomever wants to join. I know Sal said that she'd like to, but we're
yeah.
trying to find out some times. That's just one thing, and every day I'm in there. If anybody needs to talk, I'm in there.
That's awesome, man. Great. Isn't that cool? Isn't it? Isn't it really cool, man? Shout out to your mum as well. I'm sure she's a wonderful lady. I'm sure she's a wonderful person. Thanks so much for
Oh
being on the
yeah,
show, Bad Mama Jamma, and I'll speak to you again soon.
that's it.
Awesome. Awesome. Great stuff, right? How did you think that went, everybody out there in there? I think it went pretty well. Seeing hearts coming in. Awesome from Bad Mama Jam. Awesome, says Kim, to and that talking about the gardening idea. Sal, totally in on the gardening tours. Yes, gardening tours. I saw a quick tour of your garden the other day, Sal, as you had a picture of that, a video of that black bear that came a wandering. So yeah, thanks so much to everybody for being a part of all of this. Jen, etc., going to be into the gardening chat as well. Weekly open, close, open. This is very important. Weekly open, close, open. This is very important, says Trace One. Huge personality, all while being a great person. Weekly open, close, open. This is very important. That was amazing. I loved it. I don't know what you're talking about there, Trace One. Anyway, moving on. Right, great. 3 o'clock. Got half an hour left in the show. Let's do that thing that we like to do and take a look at the opening range. So what's the opening range so far? And it seems like a fairly tight one. We've experienced opening ranges which have been a lot less, a lot more than this in recent times. So just drop down to the 50-minute time frame. A lot of positive feelings coming back. Excellent part of the stream. Thumbs up from people. Nice one, BMJ, says Ben Kelly. Excellent. Thanks so much, by the way. Good to have you here all the way from Korea, I believe. Is it Korea that you're at? Japan, Korea? They themselves wouldn't be so pleased if I got that mixed up, but I know it's a different time zone anyway. Good to have you here, Shakar, giving us that thumbs up as well. Super support for everybody out there. She had 2 bears in the one day, says Sasha. Wow, crazy quality. When Ambo, says Sanjo Kojak. It's just city center living. Inner city living. Right. GME 50-minute time frame. Where did we start the day off today? Oh, we actually went as high as 207 and back down again to the current prices, 199.85. So we're in it around about that $200 still. 50-minute time frame. See the 50 simple moving average up above our heads. It's had a good degree of interaction with the prices. Kind of just on average, they've been floating down the way here. Let's see if we can get some sort of movement up the way. Now, there could be, we've had people chatting about this, there could be a kind of event psychology around the earnings, and there could be as well, what is it that people have been saying? Keeping my powder dry for the inevitable short attack. Stuff like that. Earnings, they're messed up, right? They're messed up. Earnings are messed up. The way that it goes is sometimes can be, you get really good. I mean, in advance of the earnings chat, we talked about this with a couple of different stocks, and I can't remember what they are off the top of my head. But if you've watched a lot of the show recently, you'll remember me going along and having a laugh about the earnings and saying that whatever company it was, it had 600%. The earnings were 600% worse than analysts had predicted, and then the price shot way up. And then the next earnings came out, and they were 300% worse than analysts predicted. So the prices went down. And I was having a laugh saying, they weren't bad enough. The earnings weren't bad enough to make people want to buy. You know what I mean? So who really knows is always the thing when it comes to earnings. And that's why so many so many people will advise you to avoid trading during earnings announcements. Well, so far anyway, what we've had today has been a gap fill. Essentially, the small time frames here put a gap on GME. We rose up and then ultimately came back down and filled that in. In some ways, then, of course, what with the combination of that first 15-minute candle and that second 15-minute candle, it's kind of, again, why it's important to think about the first half an hour of the day as being, your trading range. Not the first 5 minutes, not the first 15. The first half an hour, you can think about it as being the opening hour, if you like. But the first half an hour, just so that you can see this sort of event, which is so common, play out. Currently, what we're going to be asking is, like, can we stay up above $200? As to put it simply. To put it simply, if we do drop down, then perhaps we go down to different targets. Let's have a look and see if there's any way on this chart that we could come up with a couple of ideas about downside targets for us. Okay, just let me know. Now, the reason why we do this. One of the reasons why we do this, of which there are many, is to establish better entry prices and where things could go. Now, from the low to the high in here, right at that 200 price point, where's that come from? Just over there. Anyway, it doesn't seem like a coincidence. Again, it's not a coincidence again. That this Fibonacci lines up perfectly with this. I'm just not 100% sure what other things I had here, but I didn't think I'd drawn a Fibonacci in from just here at the 19th of August up that high. So again, you've got that sort of like, if you will, harmonic overlapping of things, no doubt, probably in that area. Anyway, that's where the 382 was. The 50% area, if they were to drop down to 50%, you're looking down to 185, and 185 is one of those is just is an easy target to keep an eye out for. Would I be the question would be, would I be wanting to buy it? Don't know why I spoke like that. The question would be, would I be wanting to buy it 190? And I would say to you, what, GME prices have gone to $190 today? No. I would rather buy it 185, and that would be how I would look at that. Again, then, if we did push on down 175, we know all of this because this is where we were at when we were in this region on just a couple of weeks ago when we were testing and around about these zones. So as you can see, we tested up to that 175, back down, then we shot through it. From there, we never looked back. If you did come down and look for like an area to retest that, well, then this area could be it for you. However, we can just look for certain little signs, like, have we taken out the 50 simple and have we taken out the 236 and the 200 simple? 236 lining up, by the way, for us at $209. I suppose this is maybe where I had it in the past. I guess with the way that this lines up, it looks so appropriate. So that must be where that was, I guess. But so yeah, the 236 at $209, being above that, very good. Not being below it, not so good. Now we can see that we were obviously up above that recently. Pulled back down, and then with this most recent price action, have come down to this lows. Kind of makes you wonder about the shape of that thing, and if I kind of just ameliorate some of the candles there by the sort of the noise on that by going up to higher time frame, can we see anything sort of extra special about this zone? Well, not massively, because if we, while there's been movement, was this retracement immediately following up from the rise? Was this retracement back down to the 194 area necessarily sufficient for us to say that the markets have kind of found equilibrium and whatever? Well, I mean, it was for a movement up to 231. Fantastic trading event. But in terms of the trend and continuation at this point, we've only really come back in for our first real low after moving up the way. Now, you could debate that out with me. We could debate this if you wanted to at any time. I would happily take either side of the debate in terms of where we are. But I think that it's fair enough to say that this low isn't really trending on the larger time frames as part of a higher highs and higher lows. Really, you've got a movement up the way that had some flux along the way, but that 231 was the high. So you had a low, a high, a higher low, and a high. And so far, we're looking for a higher low. 382, appropriate place to see that happen at. Saying that on the most simplistic of senses, there's an edge in the markets right here, right now. But we're at an earnings day, AMC on the other hand, as well, they had a gap filled that it didn't have a gap. Whoops. On the 24-hour time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, though, It's got a gap over here, as you can see. This gap kicking around about 44, 44 now. So the chances of us going to 44, 44 remain fairly strong. What's happened so far is we've come up here, we put in a high. I think pattern recognition should start to be kicking in for people at this point. Not everybody, because not everybody's been watching along the entire time. Not everybody's watched for years. For people who have watched for more than a year, I know that that they're way ahead of me. That by the time I said pattern recognition should be kicking in by now, they're already having that pattern. I know that it is. For everybody else, I wonder if it is or not. I wonder if it is or not. I mean, do you recognize anything about this structure right here? So you see how there's a high followed by a high and another high, and this low followed by a higher low. Does that look like anything to anybody? Does it look like anything? I wonder. Feel free to answer me in the chat if you can. I'll wait for a minute just to see if anybody thinks that this looks like anything that we've seen ever in the past, ever before. So let's just see if anybody says so. I can now reach it properly. Does this look like anything? Does it look like anything? Right. So that looks like you got a high and then another high and another high, and in between you've got a low and a higher low, and just the shape of this thing. There was a range like this size. Then there was a range like this size. And then there was a... Don't get ahead of yourself, Rocky. We're still at a high. If you were to have finished that sentence out by saying, and then there was a range of this size, that would have been... yeah, okay, great, guys. Fantastic for putting in answers. The simple... I am not a cat coming in with crab. Just simply saying that, we had a range of that size, then a range of that size. Now, if we had a range that was ever so slightly smaller, what would that be? What would that be in terms of so if we're, by the way, as we're up at these highs down at the lows, we had a range that operated roughly in between the 886 and the 382 over here, as it happens actually with that second one in terms of the highs to the lows, right? Here the actual high in terms of the highs to the lows, and where the body came in at, it was up at that 886, and then the bodies between the range, the body closures within the previous full range. The body closures here within the body full range. The body closures here, as compared to the previous full range, didn't actually take it out, either. So while we're moving towards the top side, we're not getting bodies which really close out higher than our previous range. So if you were to compare that, so this is a wedge, obviously, right? And this is within this wedge, there's these obvious components here. Well, not obvious, but they'll become obvious to you over time. And one of the components then, which one of the ways of describing this, it's obviously not in so many words, is in way more words and not enough to the point. Is our man Don Chain over here that came up with the Don Chain channels. The Don Chain channels. And what do we look for in Don Chain channels if we're looking for continuation? Well, we look to break the actual line of the channel. So if I hide all the drawings here, make it a bit clearer, you look to break the line of the channel with your body closure. Let me just give you a quick visual sort of lesson here with regards to this, right? Quick visual lesson. So here, you'll notice we had a low, okay? No, sorry, let's start even higher up. Here, you'll notice we had a low. This is a low. At this point, we're asking, are we going to go sideways? Are we going to continue up the way? Or are we going to go for more downside? That's kind of what we're asking there. Then, what did we see happen at this point here? Is that we had a candle which didn't close below the wick here. The body wasn't below it. But then here, we did actually get a body closing below it, and it pushed it down. We pushed down. Now this line, the Don Chain channel line, that's determined by the most extreme price point, i.e. the wick. It's determined by the wick every time. So it's a funny interaction that you can see here between wicks, which determine this this line which just extends horizontally from the point of the wick, and the body. You know, you can see when the bodies are pushed past. Whereas there's a distinction. If the wicks, you know, if we don't push past with a body, that's not so impressive. Anyway, we moved down to the next stage, and what did we have here? Well, we had a wick which came down, it pushed it down past that, but we didn't take it out with a body, and we moved up a bit. Then when we came back down over to here, what we find is that we actually then did take it out with a body, and this is the key component of like downward trend. So we got lower pricing. Anyway, at this stage here, we then found the 200 simple moving average that's coming up here. We then found the 200 simple moving average, and that's cool because on a sort of not looking at anything with not looking at it with any additional indicators, not if you were to be looking at the charts without additional indicators, without thinking about trend, without looking at the extreme movements, and without looking at continuation in bodies closing and confirming movements past previous extreme price points, without doing any of that, you could have very easily have just looked at the charts and said like this, said, look, oh, it looks like we're rolling over here. Maybe we'll go down to test the 200 simple moving average, as is like, common in investment bank, common in all mutual fund managers, asset managers, stuff like that, everywhere, all around the world. So many people are looking at this sort of a thing. To see it happening like this is of no great surprise. So you could have looked at it like that, but how would you have necessarily have had any feeling like you were definitely going there? Well, I just kind of did that a little bit with that Donchian channel chat, did I not, with this here? And that's kind of the point over here on the right-hand side that I was building up to this entire time when I was talking about the wedge. So you've got it just behind me here. We've got a high with a wick, and then we've got a body which didn't actually take out that wick's high. And then over here, we've got a body which didn't actually take out that wick's high. Now we have a wick which pushed higher, and that's all fair and well, but you can consider that to be like fake out. That's like a little fake out, just a little fake out, right? Until if you're looking for the breakout, then you're looking for one of these actual bodies to be closing up here, not just the wick, but the actual body itself to be closing up above and pushing higher. And until such times as that's happened, then what you're going to be looking for at your next point, having done something like this, is to have a retracement down here. Now, where could a retracement come in at? I mean, there's nothing at all. There's nothing at all that could possibly give us any idea at all whatsoever where a retracement could possibly come in at. Or is there? I don't know. Audio only people won't have a clue what I'm doing right now, but visual people should have an idea. So if you then think about all of this with regards to the other classical technical analyst things like patterns here, for example, then you could have the wedge. And that's where we are. Now, in terms of relationships as well, so let's just build out a relationship between the high. So what's the relationship of where are the prices right now between the high and the low? What's the relationship between them? Well, it's come up to the 50%, not quite as high as the 60%. So for me on this wedge, right, this is the move of the wedge here. Actually be that to there if I'd drawn it in properly, which I hadn't, but that'll do. The wedge here could take us up as high as this 786. But I think it's probably worth pointing out then that if there's going to be a fake out zone here, which is not defined by the previous range, because if we're actually going to be moving outside of this at all and looking like it's happening, then we're moving past the previous highs. So if there's going to be a fake out zone that has to be defined, what would define it? Well, it would be a movement to the 618 and no further. That's actually 65 that I've left on there. So that's the extreme point. If we can make it past 65, then maybe we're on our way up for the full measured move off of that. But that's one of those things. Now, if you were looking at this as fake out territory towards the downside, then the clear, easy fake out territory is movements below 43, etc., down to 40. It's not until you've broken 40 that you've gone that you faked out. Now I appreciate that you've broken out. That I appreciate that could also only just really result in another $5 movement, and that $5 isn't exactly amazing, considering that we're at 46 at the minute, and I'm talking about moving potentially down to 40 as in a $6 range just to be able to trade within the range of this thing. And then I'm also talking about a fake out territory which exists on a $4 range, in and of itself of that movement. So just to trade within the range, would be a $2 movement, for the within the range of the wedge. And then the movement to fake out territory is a $4 movement. So the move thereafter of a $5 movement's not amazing, but that's where we are. This is the analysis. I mean, you could easily go beyond that, but to expect for it to come down, any more, another 10% thereafter would be too much. You'd only be looking for another 2. So maybe you'd get a $7 movement, and you're waiting for more than a $6 movement just to be able to get there. But hey, that's trading. If you're looking at managing risk and doing it appropriately, so that over time you make the most amount of money. And I think I want to keep this wedge on just for now, just so we can review back and see how it performed. So I'll stick it back on again real quick. It is 22 minutes past 3. I'm going to check in with the chat real quick and see how you are getting on. Note, I threw that on and just takes 2 seconds to throw a wedge on a chart. It really does. Don't spend all day fanning around trying to make it perfect, or else you'll never get anywhere. Let's see how the chat is doing and how you're all getting on. I'm not sure if we need a revolution in a typical sense. I think we could just take over by just turning up, says Tradeswell. Well, 90% of life is just turning up. I don't think we need to learn how to handle power. I think we would do it right from day one. Wow, nice one. Just getting all the old money hoarders to hand it over to new generation who won't act like fannies, says I am not a cat. Yeah, that would be a good start. Mick Trading. Hey, good name. Those are some rosy glasses, Jamie. Yeah, I think the we doesn't apply to everybody. It just applies to like us here in this environment right now. Us, we could do it. We could. Good to see you, Electro Boy. Good to see you, Lepton. We are in the midst of a financial revolution of retail, and you and Rocky Outcrop. Oh, you're talking to TradeSpawn. You weren't even talking to me. You're talking to TradeSpawn. There's Bunsen Burner, as Sanjo Kojak would say, Bunsen Burner. I don't know. I call it a Bunsen Burner because I'm not a German. Good to see ya, Bing Bong. Good to see you. I am not a cat again. Natural friend. When Amboy again with the ambulances. It's getting worse. I think you probably could chart that out. It does seem to be getting worse to me. The T-Ball Hennings, best way to create a Tory is to read and get rich. Best way to scare a Tory. Best way to scare a Tory is to read and get rich. God, best way to create. Why did I say that? The best way to create a Tory is to make somebody rich, though. So that's the thing is, it's like, look out for your kids, basically. I say that. Bunsen burner. I think you do. You say Bunsen. Good on you. Good. Oh, thank God, Scott. I can remove that. It was weighing me down, man. It was weighing me down. It's good to know that you've pronounced it correctly. Now I can just assign that area of kind of, of inner brain shame to just Ewan alone. Excellent. Nice one. Good. Always nice to narrow those things down. Lepton, we are in the midst of financial... Yeah, I read that one the first time. You tricked me. I'm not going to read it twice. Of course I did, Miss A. Wait, what's happening in there? Miss A, didn't Jimmy point out the 195 last week? Stock Psychic. Yes, he did. He did, yeah. That's why this should be a standing desk. I'll have to get back to doing my standing routine tomorrow. We're 25 past 3, ladies and folks. I'm going to be tuning out soon. Scary times. Oh, I haven't done any cryptocurrency, Jazz. Wow. Cool. Well, we've done enough on that. Were you looking down to the 1618 Fibonacci retracement on Bitcoin? Looking over here, it's right beside me. It's right in this area. Bang, 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 bang. Did the prices get there? Well, actually, they didn't. Could that be where the prices end up going to? Are we going to see more negativity on this one? That would really suck, wouldn't it? It would, wouldn't it? Yes, it would. Couple of little nuances here for us. This is the 4-hour time frame. Not as easy to see necessarily as it is on the 1-hour time frame. How, in actual fact, this hasn't started to trend up at all after that malaise of price action. Now, what has happened here is that we've seen the prices drop down so suddenly that the 50 simple has curved right down, having been previously on a nice upward slant on it, and come in and crossed over the 200 simple here on the 1-hour time frame. Will we see some sort of retest of this? Well, I'll keep my eye out for the 50 simple time frame, 50 simple moving average if we do continue to go down the way. That 1618, by the way, is on a Fibonacci retracement from up above. It was a target to be looking down here if we were to be coming down the way. On the other hand, you've still got this Fibonacci I've left on here, which shows the movement from the highs to the lows and where we've come so far. 45,000 actually is the 236. So really, in terms of this movement, if I was to be looking down towards this region where the 1618 retracement was coming in at, and I was looking to aim towards that zone, then I'd be managing my risk here clearly at that 45k area where the 236 is, because that's also got confluence with where our last low was. And then of course that would form part of a trend where you've got a function where you have a low followed by a lower high followed by a lower low followed by a lower high, so on and so forth. And you'd be asking questions then, first off at 44,000 or 43,900, but I say 44,000 for your next move if that was the case. So you're looking at another $900, another $900, another $900, and it's that sort of attrition that can lead down to these points down the way. If we were looking then and saying, well, how would we get a recovery on this one? Maybe we want to actually kind of see, well, hey, do we have something like this? And we do at the minute. This is, of course, known as bullish divergence. You look at the lows in the RSI and you see that they are not as low. The MACD here is exactly showing us the same thing. We don't have loads of momentum carrying us down here, really, not loads of momentum carrying us down here compared to the momentum that took us down as far as we came initially. But I think that's self-evident in the size of those candles, etc., that happened. There's a couple of nuanced things which are worth pointing out, by the way, while we're here. Just for example, the fact that the stochastics doesn't have that, and we are that bullish divergence, and we are looking here at having a turnaround in around about the 60 zone. Now, if you're talking about this one, this is something that's kind of like you're not going to see it every day, but if you've got movements that come in and turn around at this type of point here of the 60 zone, like you can see over here, when you've got movements coming in around about the 60 zone, you just want to be cautious. It's the same sort of thing as when we talk about the oversold, overbought territory on the RSI. So just to show you what I mean real quick here, looking at this one, if the RSI were to come up to the neutral territory, because we've been down here in the oversold territory, when you get into this region between the bullish control zone and the neutral line, this is actually becomes your overbought territory. Right? That's what that is relatively, not here. You're actually looking to that zone for that in this scenario. So we're down here already, and that's what you'd be looking for. Well, isn't it interesting to see that there isn't that bullish divergence and we're at that oversold, overbought territory on this relativistic, measure in terms of like when you've done one, what does it look like next? That sort of little nuance. Anyway, as it stands right now, is it possible to be bullish on this thing? Well, yeah. I mean, all you need to do is go up to something like the a really, really, really big time frame. A really big time frame. So all you need to do is go up to something like the 12-month time frame, for example. There you go. Then it's easy to be bullish on it. Working back down the time frames, though, you're seeing that this is clearly very bullish and looks great. We're up above the 50% line of our Donchian channels. Interesting, actually. I'll leave this Donchian channels on for us. But until such times as the prices are up above, there, wow, things got messy quick, didn't they? Until such times as the prices are up above 65,000, you will remain cautious in terms of this trend. This trend being the one that's been over the period of many years, on the monthly time frame. Dropping down the way, the weekly time frame, just got a little bit of a kind of concern with this little bump here, the high, the bump here that was looking like, you could have even have had a head and shoulders on the weekly at this point. We've undone that damage. We're up above the 50% line. That's really starting to look quite good. And it's at this point here that I think that it's probably worth pointing out this area of price action. It's not a fractal. It is an explanation that's coming up. So a stupid and lazy person that doesn't understand technical analysis has no intention of doing so and only simply wants to, make personal income off the back of, lying to an audience about what they know and what they don't know and pretend to be better than they are, might call this a fractal over here in the price point. The price action that dropped down in it around about September. I'm going to kind of talk about something in around about here, but just drop down to the 24-hour time frame first to be able to make this point. Hide the drawings again because they're so messy. And look to where's August, September. There we have it, right? So here's a high for us. Now, this is a period people often ask about Wyckoff distribution, yada, yada, yada. Here's another Wyckoff type example, I suppose. We had this bearishly divergent high up here, bearishly divergent high up here, big movements, big drop down in price, measuring this out from the drop off point down to where we came, sort of 20%, from the high at the time in the market down to where we went, it was 21%, sort of 20% drop down. And then afterwards we moved up a wee bit, came up above the Donchian channels, and then we put in a higher low, right? So we started to trend. We started to trend at this point and actually we never really looked back after that point. But there was this moment here, not taking out our significant lower area and then moving up and starting to trend was very important. So this is not some sort of fractal bullshit, because as you can see already, it doesn't look anything like it at all whatsoever. And it's on a far bigger time frame. But look, we didn't really push down past this area and start to trend down then. We have come up here past, was it like easier on the weekly time frame to show this? Yeah. So essentially, we didn't F up our Donchian channel zone to the downside, really. And we've moved up above the neutral line. Now we've pulled back down again. And the result of this pullback, actually, that's happened just there now, has been 20%. So a big deal just in there. A big deal, of course, but we're aware that we can cope with 20% price action moves and continue to trend towards the top side. And those are the components that I was bringing from the past into the future to make that comparison. Absolutely nothing like a fractal at all in any way. Just wanted to point that out. So anyway, we're above that 50% line. It's not looking too bad, but at the same time, could be hell a lot better. That's your Bitcoin technical analysis for you, long and short term. Things that you might want to know about, though, that actually do matter. How about that? Well, there's something that everybody in the world is probably going to be looking at. Here is a golden cross that's about to happen on the Bitcoin charts, right? We've had a death cross. This happened following on from the crash, from the May crash down here. Then we put in that ultimate low right when the 50 started to kind of turn around here. Haven't had that death cross. We came up, we didn't test the 50. We tested it kind of a few times just there. Then we properly tested it, smashed on through. Over here, what's happened? We've come back to retest it since properly for the first time since breaking through it. For the first time since breaking through it, we've come back to retest it. It's resulted in a 20% drop down in the prices from where they were, and we're coming in for a golden cross. This golden cross could happen with the prices still kicking about that area where the cross is happening at. Significant, being closer to the price action, to the cross during it means that you maybe not necessarily need to have a significant pullback up towards it. You'll notice here that the body of price action was down here, but when the cross came in, we were right next to it, meaning that we didn't need to immediately rise up and test it. We'd basically done that in that sense already. We can see examples of this throughout time if I just go looking for them. Here we are, and you can actually go looking for them. You can go looking for them. Cross, price action towards 50. Cross, price action towards 50. Cross, price action at 50. This was straight down thereafter in that death cross. Cross, price action, not at it, moves towards 50, eventually tests it, and this signified the end of it because it didn't test it so quickly. Over here, other example. Anyway, you could go on and on and on and on and on and on. I'm going to not do that. That was some technical analysis for you. Hope it helped you. Rocky Outcrop here. If it wasn't what you wanted to see, well, all you need to do is come back and ask me to do what it is that you want to do. This is the very, very best technical analysis out there on this topic, right? By the way, this is cryptocurrency technical analysis. I'll just be honest with you. I'm probably the best, if not the best. Eric Crown of Crown's Crypto Cave is the best. If not, Mitch Ray, he's the best. One of us three is probably the best. After that, I'm not too sure. Okay, I'm not too sure, but we're the good ones. It's us three. And if you like either of those two, maybe you might like their personalities more or less than mine. Whatever. I'm not bothered, by the way. I'm just saying that this is highly valuable content. Hit the like button, share it with your friends. And if you're looking for somebody to add to those ones you watch, then I'm your man. Right, cool, nice one. And who let the Rocky out? Who? Me. I did. It is 37 minutes past the hour. That's a clip for Bitcoin that I just made, and I'm going to run through the reverse roll call. And yeah, Jamie, I would have said you, but you don't do cryptocurrency stuff on your channel so much. Or do you want me to say you during those things? I mean, I'll just say you during them. It's just that people who tune in specifically to watch a cryptocurrency clip can go and watch those two guys, and the headlines is going to be cryptocurrencies every time. That's all. That's the reason. Otherwise, I'd have said you. Yeah, right. Love you, brother. Thanks for the interview. Bad Mama, it was great. It was just great having you on. It was fun. It's really nice to introduce your voice and personality to people, because you're in the chat here and everything, but not everybody will have heard. I mean, I have known and stuff, and there was a nice 150 odd people or whatever watching along at the time, so it's pretty cool. It's nice. It's nice. It's like having an auditorium with enough people there. It's cool, it's good. Nice one. HJ, make my dreams come true, says Electro Boy. Well, I wonder what they are. Electro Boy, really, out of everybody's dreams, your ones are probably the most interesting. Some of the most interesting dreams I imagine you've got out there, Electro Boy. I am not a cat, says cool cats to Jewel Maxwell. It's cool for cats. Cool for cats. So Stonkowski, there you are, my pal. How you doing, mate? How you doing? It's good to see you. Shikar, but Shikar Bajracharya. Man, I really wish I could say your name. Great stuff. You appreciate it. So do I. Gaston, go live. Ouh là là, Gaston. Nous avons envie, comme ci, comme ça. Brian Mullen, cheers to Rocky and everyone here. Hope you enjoy a beautiful day. Thank you so much, my friends. Thank you. 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 Reverse roll call time coming up, and then I'm tuning out. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Ooh la la, wow, wow, wow. By the way, for anybody wondering, I do own more than one white shirt. It's the only color of shirt that I own more than one of. Apart from pink, actually. Got several pink shirts. Yeah. Come on. I'm by the way, what I'm bouncing around waiting for at the minute is for my stream labels thing to open up, so I can see all of my notifications from all the stuff that I didn't see during the chat and give everybody a shout out that deserves one, because undoubtedly there's loads. So working back the way, starting with Brian Mullen, buddy, $20. Thanks so much. Cheers to Rocky and everyone here. Enjoy this beautiful day. All enjoy it. Totally do enjoy it. Make sure you do that. Be kind to each other and yourselves. Be nice. Do one nice thing today. You'll definitely appreciate it. Gaston donated $5 through Super Chat. Jacked baby, woo. Dan Lesage, $10. Merry earnings day. A Rocky Claus, thank you so much. D Harker donated $8.99 with the Let's Go. That's when Bad Mama Jama came online. Thanks so much for that. I noticed it at the time. A nice little sort of subtle shout out to Bad Mama Jama. Kim donated $5. Thanks so much, Kim. Here's to an awesome day. Kim, you're an awesome person. Here's to you. Here's to you, Kim. Gaston, good morning. I am so effing jacked. Thanks so much for that $5. Christy earlier on with $5. Another good vibes day. Thanks so much for that. Michael Peters donated as well for one Heineken in Amsterdam. Thanks so much for that. $4.99. Christy as well. Oh, you did it twice. I didn't realize, Christy. Thank you so much. That's what another for good vibes. That's what that was. $5 for a good night. Ronaldo Moreno, appreciate you, Rocky. Ronaldo, I appreciate you too so goddamn much, man. It doesn't even make sense. It's nonsensical how much I appreciate you, my friend. Let's just look over here and see. Damn it, YouTube! You didn't give me a Ronaldo link on the homepage for me to play, which I wanted today when I went in, searching for Ronaldo. There we go. Now, by the way, those Korean ants, they're live at the minute. Do you just want to see what they look like over there? I'll just bring up their stream real quick for a second so you can see before we actually do tune out. And I'll continue reading this, by the way. Since the chick became a patron, thanks so much for that as well. Other patrons recently include Ian Bell, Jay, Joman, Nightstress M. Thank you so much. You're such a wonderful person and musician. Nick Bruns, Tony G, all you guys that did that. Lepton as well. Thanks for that donation earlier on. So I'm just going to bring up before I tuning out in 1 minute or 2 minutes here, just 1 minute. This is Ronaldo Moreno's YouTube channel. I was going to bring up something else though, and I've forgotten what that was. Oh, yeah. Your man in the Koreas. Your man, here he is, so we can see what he's like. Let's give him a shout. We can do, if you want, you can do a stream raid over there afterwards. A membership. See this membership. Oh, membership. I don't understand any of that. Let's hear him.
사람들이 일을 안 하는데. 그러니까는 잡은 오픈한 건 많아요. 지금 잡이 미국에 깔려 있어요. 그런데 사람들이 일을 안 해. 왜냐면 unemployment benefit이 아직도 있기 때문에 그거 받고 그냥 집에서 노는 거야. 정부에서 공짜로 준 돈.
Anyway, liked. Do that here. I've done it for him. Hit that like button. Oh, Vic Vince, VLDR coming in for a turnaround in the coming weeks. Bullish divergence on downtrend. Weekly MACD coming in for a cross. If it double bottoms 610, maybe a good trade or better stay away. Wow, Vic. You know how to do your timing, don't you? VLDR. Let's have a quick look before we F off. But like I say, I'm Fing off. What are we talking about? Turnaround. Coming in for a bullish divergence on downtrend. Weekly MACD coming in for a cross. Right. So you've got this is 24-hour time frame. No divergences on that one. Just there. No divergences on that one. Just there. A little bit of divergence perhaps on the weekly accumulation distribution indicator, but wow, yowza, big obvious bullish divergence there on the MACD. So there's a like word of caution there with this thing, but yeah, I mean, I'm looking for a bounce on it. Sure I am, because it's like gone down so much, etc. But we need to be aware. Let's just stick this on the logarithmic chart, looking like the linear chart. It's had such a small amount of actual real movement in price, in terms of ups and downs. Just really, you could draw a straight line through that. Then it moved, and wow, boys, did it move. And it went up a bunch to those highs. What, $30? Now it's down at $6 or so. That could be the case. It's very, very, very negative, extremely bearish trend. We're seeing a diminishing in the volume at last. It's dropped down the volume a wee bit, taking out any of these lows though along the way. It's going lower. What else did you say about it though? It's got a weekly. It's the MACD's. The MACD's the bullish one. Yeah, so it's going to come in for a cross. Absolutely. I mean, you can tell because look at the thing there. But yes, right. So if it double bottoms at 610, maybe a good trade, maybe better stay away. If it double bottoms at 610, maybe a good trade, maybe stay away. No. Oh yeah, totally, absolutely, edge in the markets, man. But this is it. I mean, your answer to this question is simply put, you want to be thinking along the lines of how are you going to get in and out of this thing and stay safe, and what's going to be a decent risk to reward opportunity for you straight away. Looking at it, just even a test up towards there would mean that you could do a risk reward where you thought to yourself, hey, I'll ditch the trade at 590. I mean, these are arbitrary, right? I'm clearly not doing the TA in terms of where this feckin' move would be at. But I'm going to give you the idea that, would that be a good trade? Well, yeah, I mean, in that sense. Would this be a good trade from right where it is right now? I mean, technically, it's the same sort of idea. You just would want to manage that risk really tight because, of course, you're going to be visiting 610 if you stop out. So there could be an extra, I don't know what, like maybe you might get an extra 2-3% So it depends on how you manage how that would work for you, obviously. But that's something to consider. In terms of smaller term time frame stuff, though, just man, right, you bastard, you. So moving down here, bullish divergence in the 4-hour time frame. That's good. Getting to the neutral line could be a cross. Got a cross on the DMI, but it's negative in chop land. That's okay. That's that last little candle that did that to us. RSI here, accumulation distribution. If that happens to, yeah, so if we don't take out that low of 548, then you could trade this here. If you're looking if you're looking really tight and you're looking to just trade this in the super like small term time frames on the 4-hour. But I mean, the thing is, I've established on the 4-hour how I would trade this on the 15-minute time frame. I think this speaks for itself right here, right now, does it not? Wow, that's quite nice the way that worked out. So you can see, obviously, this is the idea here. Either we're trading this like this with the expectation that we can get a decent move off the back of it. It could go away, it could keep going, but at the same time, we're not being entirely greedy on it. And then we're keeping our eye out because, of course, if we come down here, fill in that gap, it's only just a little bit of a movement, another couple of percent. That gives you your double bottom at 610, and you're totally right, man. You could do that, and you could have a good trade off the back of it. Your analysis on the run up to it is totally correct. It's a combination of analysis and risk management that makes any trader somebody that's actually successful. Well done to you, Vic, for that suggestion. I hope that was useful for you. I really just fit that in real quickly. Harriet, am I going to get you on the phone one of these days? I think so. We'll chat. It'll be great. It'll be glorious. It'll be full of wonderful stuff. I just can't be arsed emailing you back, I suppose, probably is the thing, and we can just talk about stuff. Love the arcade design that he did, and not necessarily sure what about in terms of like if that would be logo or it certainly is amazing. It would make an amazing t-shirt. Don't know if it would work in terms of the brand for the thing or itself or not. I agree with the sentiments that you put out in your email yourself, that maybe the stair step-ins and the elevator dudes and maybe the line down, jaggy up, line down thing and all that works together best. Maybe that's where we should focus the efforts. I don't know. We can chat about it all that stuff. You said yes, your thing. Anyway, I did a bit of the chat there now, so that's pretty good. Horn Hunter, way buddy, check out yesterday's episode. We can skip into it. I did a reaction to the Wheel of Time Amazon Prime trailer. My video got copyright striked because of it. That's what you do. That's the dedication. Looking forward to that story coming out. It's going to be wonderful. Good to see you, my friend. And to all of you, thanks for tuning in. HJ, Electro Boy, we'll chat soon. Woo woo woo. Yes, we will. Brian Mullen, good to see you. Vic Vince, Horn Hunter, hey ho. Sanjo Kojak, Tim Wajatala, I am not a cat, meow. Kim Nakbo, Streamlabs. What the F? I banned Streamlabs. Why Streamlabs back in here? Anyway, that's a problem. Streamlabs. Why is Streamlabs in here? That's really annoying. F off Streamlabs. Anyway, Electro Boy, Trace Button, Katie Babes, Shakar, the surname part I can't say. Acid was taken. Good to see Aaron Man, Shane DeBush, all that good stuff. All my sisters and my colors, all my favorite brothers. I love them like no other. It's all of you. Let's just see Unit 22. Wait a minute, is this a chat video? This is basically my phone dump from my second hunting trip with my brother. Is it? Hey, this is cool, man. I'd like to watch this. I'm not going to play this for the full 15 minutes. But wow, man, that looks quality. And I get to meet your brother in this thing as well, man. You know who my brother is. Now I get to know who my brother's brother is. That's awesome. Let's see. Where is he? Is that him there? That looks like it. That might be. Don't know. Do you have the same type of hair? Anyway, brilliant. Ronaldo, give us a tune though before I go. Just real quick. Let me see. What do I want from this one? I want it's not it's I want that one. Cool, excellent. Not going to play the full tune, but here it is. And thank you so much for everybody for tuning in. Really do appreciate y'all. I love yous very, very much. Anyway, thanks so much. Catch you later.